All right, welcome back, everybody. It's week 18 of the Other Side Sports show. You'll notice that this is not John Emmons or Matthew Binkley. This is Isaiah Rogers joining us today. John is on a nice vacation. He is up in the mountains of Michigan, enjoying the weather. And I'm not sure what Matthew is, probably doing some daddy duty. But we got Isaiah here to fill in for John, and we're gonna talk about some of these top 5 cornerbacks in the league, top 5 pass rushers, and then we're gonna do a little bit of MLB All-Star centered stuff. So the second half of our show is probably gonna be all MLB, talking about the All-Stars, the All-Star game, the All-Star team, and All-Star week coming up next week. So we'll just dive right into it, Isaiah. I'll let you go first, being the guest on the show. Let's start off with our pass rushers. So we're going to go top 5 pass rushers, and when we say pass rushers, obviously we mean 4-3 defensive ends or 3-4 outside linebackers, guys who just pass rush. Like, they get sacks, that's their primary job. So why don't you start us off? Let's start at number 1 on this, because I feel like our 1 and 2 might be the same. And as we get toward the bottom, it'll change up. So let's start with number 1 on this one.
Okay, number 1, I have Aaron Donald.
Okay.
I mean, obviously he's total package. He's fast. He's got power moves. He can run by you. He can pull you over. I think he's the best in the league.
Okay. Who's number 2?
Number 2, I have Von Miller, who is very similar to Donald in that he's pretty up there. And then number 3, I have Joey Bosa, who he's kind of young. He hasn't really proved himself too much, but I'm pretty sure throughout the first 2 seasons he has the most sacks in his career. So he has that record, I believe. Number 4, I have Chandler Jones, who has led the league in sacks last year. He's also very technical. And then number 5, I have Khalil Mack, who he didn't have the greatest year last year, but that team also wasn't very good around him. And then I also wanted to mention DeMarcus Lawrence and Everson Griffin. They're guys that I could be up there, but it's a stacked position. So
okay, so our top 5s are they're pretty different. I will say they're pretty different. So at number 1, I as well have Aaron Donald at number 1. And I think what makes Donald unique is that he can rush. He rushes primarily from the inside. Like, he's more of like, going through that A gap, whereas most of these other guys are coming off the edge and they're beating like the tackle. Donald is typically like beating double teams in the middle. So I think that's probably why I went with Donald number 1. Number 2, I have Von Miller, just like you did. He's probably the fastest, most agile outside linebacker in the game. And then we start to differ at number 3. At number 3, I have Khalil Mack. His numbers don't pop out because his sacks were still there last year. He still had over 10. I think he had 11.5. But his pressures were still really high, even with not the greatest defense around him. So we'll see what John Gruden can bring to that team, and if he can have another great season this year with them. At number 4, I have Calais Campbell from Jacksonville, hometown team. Campbell, I think, was like 1 sack shy of leading the lead in sacks. And Calais Campbell has dominated offensive lines his entire career, whether it was in Arizona and then coming here first year with Jacksonville. And then number 5, it's also going to sound kind of like a homer pick, but I'm going to go with Yannick Ngakoue as number 5. All the guy does is pass rush. He's terrible in the run game. I'm not going to lie there. He's terrible in the run game. But his pass rush is amazing. He had 12.5 sacks last season. He also had, I believe it was 5 forced fumbles, which was a league high, I think, as far as forced fumbles goes. Maybe tied with Levante Davis for forced fumbles. But Yannick was huge last year for the Jags, like getting turnovers, forcing turnovers. On sacks like that, so that's why he's going number 5 to me. Him and Dante Fowler caused a lot of turnovers on sacks last year, but Dante Fowler's not in my top 5. If I had to give some honorable mentions, I would say DeMarcus Lawrence would be my honorable mention there as well. Chandler Jones did cross my mind. There was one more. I can't even remember who it was. I didn't write it down.
No Joey Bosa?
I like Bosa. I think he's good, but I think he kind of took a step back from where he was the year before. And maybe he didn't even take a step back. Maybe his play was exactly where it needed to be, and he played well. But I think maybe other guys elevated their game a little bit more, and their names stuck out more to me whenever I was like looking at like the list and my options.
Yeah. Whenever top 5, there's a lot of different things you could look at to go.
Right,
so
right, right.
Pretty subjective.
Right, and we were talking about this right before we started the show. It's like, well, when you're picking a top 5, like, yeah, like you got guys you really like, and then there's guys that you really like, but you don't like them as much as the guys that you really, really like, and you don't really want to leave people off, but you have to. It's a top 5 list. Like, you got to do what you got to do. So did you have any issues with any of my top 5s?
No, I actually forgot about Calais. He was one of the guys I wanted to talk about, but like you said, there's just so many people and not enough spaces.
Right, yeah.
If anything, it'd be the Yannick, but I can see where you're coming from because obviously as a Colts fan, I watch them twice a year, and he does wreak havoc on people, so, I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah, and he actually does really benefit from having Calais on the team because Calais can take a lot of that pressure off, and then the Jags kind of have Malik Jackson, too, who's really good at rushing the passer from that D-tackle spot, too. So so Yannick does benefit in that way, but I'm not going to take any credit away from him for those things. So we'll go into top 5 cornerbacks. I'll start this list. And I'm going to say...
I'm sure ours should be pretty similar for this one.
I'm going to say that we're going to start at number 1 because I think the top 2 maybe is like, I don't know. The whole thing is probably pretty wild, but we'll start top down. So my number 1, I have Casey Hayward from the Chargers. Number 2, I have Jalen Ramsey from the Jags. 3, I have Patrick Peterson from the Cardinals. 4, I have AJ Bouye from the Jags. And 5, I have Darius Slay from the Lions. I like Ramsey, and I really battled with this all day. I wanted to put him number 1, but then as I was doing research on it, and I was trying to compare the two, a lot of what I was seeing, and I even went and watched a few clips from the season. But I was seeing a lot of people write stuff about the two, Casey Hayward and Jalen Ramsey, and comparing them. And Ramsey is way more athletic than Casey Hayward is. You just can't deny that.
Yeah.
But Casey Hayward's way more technically sound. Jalen has a tendency, he can get beat on certain routes, especially curl routes, because he'll play them a little too deep, and against a good receiver, he can get beat on those, who can really sell it well. Whereas Casey Hayward is definitely more he's more technically sound. He's tighter in coverage when he needs to be. Jalen isn't as tight in coverage because he knows he has catch-up speed. So if he needs to catch up to somebody, he can, and he can use that as an advantage because he could probably bait somebody into some throws. And he kind of did. He ended up with 4 interceptions, which I believe was tops, not the top, but near the top. Because I think Kevin Byard led the league with 6 interceptions. So
I think he had 8 actually.
Oh wow, okay. But either way, Ramsey was kind of up there. Pat Pete, his numbers don't stand out because nobody throws at him. He's the only defender on that Cardinals team that really is anything. So nobody throws at Pat Pete. He only ended up with 1 interception last year, but that's not Pat Pete's fault really. He shuts down whoever he faces, and he shadows number 1 wide receivers. He follows them everywhere. I have Bouye at 4 because Bouye ended up with, I believe, I looked at all this today and I should have wrote it down. I don't know why I didn't, but I believe Bouye ended up with 6 interceptions, and then he ended up with 18 pass deflections, which led the league as far as pass breakups go. So he's honestly just a playmaker all around. And the only times that I can really come to my mind that he got beat during the season was in the playoffs against Antonio Brown. And if Antonio Brown's beating you and he's the only one, I feel like that's okay because it's Antonio Brown.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And then number 5, I had Darius Slay. Darius Slay makes a ton of plays. Really huge turnover guy. And if anybody's watched the show before, and I know you have, whenever we did linebackers, one of my huge things with like my top 5 linebackers was they were able to force turnovers. That's why Yannick creeped into my top 5 for pass rushers. Darius Slay forces turnovers. He's good in coverage. He's not afraid to hit people and tackle somebody. So that's why I got Darius Slay top 5. It was hard though. Like I went like with my top 5, I moved people around a ton. I dropped people in and out. Like they went all over the place.
Yeah, my list is actually very similar, but in a pretty different order. At number 1, I have AJ Bouye for everything you said, and I looked up another stat. He did not allow a single touchdown during the regular season.
Right.
And then Casey Hayward, like you said, he's technically sound. Then Jalen Ramsey at number 3, for obvious reasons. He's just something else. And then Patrick Peterson, number 4, like you said, he shadows guys, he locks them down. You don't throw him, Pat Pete. And then number 5, Darius Slay, everything you said, for tackling ability. And also wanted to mention Jimmy Smith, he's probably the best player on the Ravens defense. And then Chris Harris Jr., who's just been good for years on that Broncos team.
I was also I did like the Jimmy Smith. I was going to throw him in there. I also wanted to give credit to William Jackson. He played exceptionally well up in Cincinnati, and he was one of the few corners this year that when he went up against Antonio Brown, he had really successful games, and he was able to keep Antonio limited. And then also I got to give a shout out Marshawn Lattimore. Like the kid comes in as a rookie, just destroys the league, becomes the number 1 corner on that team instantly, and that team makes it all the way to deep playoff run, and they only get eliminated because of a fluke Hail Mary where Marcus Williams missed a tackle. Yeah, so yeah, all those guys are like crazy good. And another one that I had floating up through my list was Xavier Rhodes of the Vikings. Like I like at one point, like Xavier Rhodes was 3 on my list, and then I dropped him to 4, and then I took him out completely, and then he was back up to 5. Like the list just like really jumped around for me whenever I was looking all this stuff up.
Yeah, and we even mentioned guys like Marcus Peters or anybody like that. There's so many guys that could creep in at the end of the season or during the season.
Right, and Marcus Peters is a guy who like he's another one I really like because he forces turnovers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's not afraid to go and hit you. He'll force a couple fumbles.
Exactly. And like I like guys that force turnovers because I feel like if you win the turnover battle, you can typically win the game. I'm okay with, giving up a few big plays every now and then if you're being aggressive and you're trying to make a play. Like if you're
just what he is.
Yeah, if you're out of your zone, like you're out of place and you go a big play, that's a problem. But like if you're trying to make a play and you're trying to undercut a route and you just happen to be there just a tad too early or a tad too late, and you end up giving up a big play, so what? It happens. Like it's gonna happen to everybody. But anybody like guys that can force turnovers, love them.
I agree.
That's why if we had time to do a top 5 safeties, Kevin Byard would probably be one of my top safeties. I don't know that I'd put him number 1, but he'd probably be top 5 somewhere.
There's a lot of competition for that number 1 spot.
There's a lot of good safeties. So we'll move into the third topic, and we talked about this in our chat a little bit earlier today. So you had Bouye at number 1 for best corners. You had Ramsey at number 3. I had Ramsey at number 2 and Bouye at number 4. So with the 2 of them, plus DJ Hayden, Jalen Myrick, Deshaun Gibson, Barry Church, Ronnie Harrison, Cody Davis, do the Jaguars undeniably have the best secondary in the National Football League?
I would say no, just because of the undeniably. There's a lot of teams that maybe they are the best, but there's teams like the Rams and the Bills. The thing about the Jags they're safeties. I don't like Gibson. I don't like Church. I don't think they fit in that well. I think they have the 2 best corners in the game, undeniably. That's undeniable. But I'm not a big fan of the safeties, and that's where it kind of starts to get iffy for me. Now, if you said best defense, I'd go, yeah, because their defensive line and linebackers are just on another level.
So the undeniable really throws like a wrench in this question. And I actually agree with you. I don't think they are undeniably the best secondary because teams you mentioned, the Bills, the Rams, and then, it was brought up today, the Chargers also have a really good secondary. So undeniably, the Jaguars aren't the best. But I would personally, if I had to pick, like, rank a secondary, I would probably rank the Jags as number one. Because when you're led by literally two top 5 cornerbacks, and then you have Tashaun Gibson, who, regardless of what PFF says about his play, he played well last year. He didn't really get beat deep. He was at least a starting caliber safety for the Jags, and he made big plays when he needed to. And Barry Church, he did get showed up a bit, especially in the Seahawks game, about how poor his coverage can be. But the Jags shored that up. They went and got Cody Davis from the Rams, who is an unrestricted free agent, so he can play some third down type coverages and play pass defense for them. And then Ronnie Harrison from Alabama, guy who was touted as like this potential first round pick, ended up sliding all the way down to the Jags. So they were really fortunate to get him. And so I just don't see, like, if they can continue to develop the way that they have, and Ramsey takes another step forward and actually solidifies himself as like the number one corner in the league. Gibson has another solid year. Harrison learns from Barry Church and then pushes him out as he gets older. I think that they are the best secondary in the league, flat out.
I'd agree with that. I think Ramsey's already good. If he can take another step and become what he's been touted to be, as the best cornerback in the last 10 years, which the way he's progressed his first 2 years, looks like he's well on his way to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's what's amazing to me is he's literally 24. He'll be 24 when the season starts, and he's already a top 5, corner. And all the other guys on the list were, they're like upper 20s upper 20s before they get in that conversation. I do like the Bills secondary though, with Tre'Davious White and Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. Like, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer are like a really, really deadly safety combo, and I really like those guys, and I'm really sad we have to face them this year, but luckily I don't know what's going to go on with their quarterback situation. So,
well, if Josh Allen starts, you should chalk that up as a win.
Well, I mean, I'm not worried about AJ McCarron, Josh Allen, or Nathan Peterman, really. So,
not against that defense.
No. So,
I'll keep my opinions for Josh Allen for another time.
So I'm just, trying to think around the league, and I can't really think of any other teams that would come to mind that I would really, want to throw out there as a top secondary. Maybe if...
I think LA could be close with Peters and they got to keep Talib. I'm trying to think. And they have, I can't think of their safeties, but...
They have Lamarcus Joyner and Josh Johnson. But they lost T.J. McDonald, who they had this past year. They lost T.J. McDonald, and they lost... we just talked about this on the show last week. Somebody to the Jets. I can't remember his name now. Tremaine Johnson.
Yeah, Tremaine Johnson, the corner.
They lost Tremaine Johnson to the Jets. So Peters and Talib can kind of pick up some of that slack. But we'll see how those two mesh, because I think, we talked about this on the show. I don't know how all these personalities with Ndamukong Suh and... Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, like, how are these all going to mesh together? Because they're all
definitely be quite the locker room.
Yeah, they're all very volatile guys. Now, if they can come out of the gate and win some games early, and they can, maybe start 3-0, like, they might get on a good roll, and that locker room might not be an issue. But if they come out and they bust out and they're expected to, like, win that division, and they start 2-2, and maybe the 49ers start like 3-1, like, then it could be an issue.
Yeah, they say winning cures all.
Winning does cure all. That's true. That is very true. So, Isaiah, we're gonna move into the hold up segment of the show. And you've watched the show, so you know how this works. Basically, what'll happen is I'll read you some stuff, and then I'll read you a statement. And if you agree with that statement, you just don't say anything. If you don't agree with the statement, then you just let it, or then you say hold up. You give your argument, and then we'll go from there.
Alrighty.
All right. So here's your first statement, Isaiah. We're 46 days away from college football season as of today. 46 days. That means we're 46 days away from arguing who should be number one and who's going to make the college football playoffs. So here's your statement. Alabama will be in the college football playoffs again as a top 2 seed.
Can't bet against them.
Nope, I wouldn't bet against them either. And I that's why I kind of threw that top 2 seed in there, was because do you think they make it 1 or 2? Because I think last year they made it as a 4.
I think they can make it as 1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah,
they've been in it every single year.
Yeah, so.
They're the only team to do it.
Yep. But
you can't bet against a team like Alabama right now.
No,
especially if Tua is healthy. I think he takes him to the next level. I think he has the arm talent that Jalen Hurts didn't, and he can also scramble like Jalen Hurts did.
Do you think?
I don't think they lost too much in the draft.
Do you think that he could win a Heisman Trophy?
Tua?
Yeah.
Yes, with that team around him, of course. He has probably one of the best surrounding casts in college football. I mean, look at the recruits they get.
Yeah, they constantly at the top of recruiting. Evans is going to be really sad when he sees the show and he realizes that he wasn't here for the first college football topic, but he'll be all right.
Sorry, Evans.
So we'll move on to second statement. In case anybody didn't see it, there was a soccer team in Thailand that was trapped in a cave for about 2 weeks, and very unfortunate. A Thai Navy SEAL passed away when he was trying to rescue these kids, so it's very unfortunate. But this is the topic of our second statement. So all 12 of the kids and the coach who were trapped have been rescued. They were in the cave for 2 weeks, and they were in there because rainfall. The rain fell, it filled the water level in the cave, and they couldn't get out. It's dark, and they were way back in there. So here's your statement. That coach will never be allowed to chaperone again.
No, I 100% agree with that, too.
I don't. I would say hold up here. Yeah, I would say hold up here. He learned something. He learned that he should not go places like that with kids who are not his own. Hell, even with kids who are his own.
I would have thought that would have been a given, though.
Yeah, well, I would too, but I mean, now at least the guy knows. And maybe he won't take risks with his kids or with other people's kids ever again. So he'd be a pretty safe chaperone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the situation, but from what I have seen, it's a little, why were they out there in the first place? And
yeah, it was. It was very, why were they out there? But it is what it is.
Yeah,
so,
at least they're all safe. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what really matters.
Third statement. Starting lineups have been announced for the MLB All-Star Game. There are 3 teams in Major League Baseball that have more than one starter, excluding the pitchers because those haven't been determined yet. Here's your statement. Without looking it up right now, you know all 3 of the teams with more than one starter. Give them to me. Give them to me.
Red Sox, Cubs, Astros.
Nope.
Not Astros. Yankees. Sorry.
Nope. Wrong.
No?
Nope. You got the Red Sox and the Cubs, right? Because you have Mookie Betts and JD Martinez. The Cubs from the Red Sox. The Cubs have Wilson Contreras and Javier Baez. The third team that has multiple starters, the Atlanta Braves.
Really?
They have Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Nick Markakis. All 3 of them are starting. For the NL team. Now, I believe if the starting pitchers pan out the way that I think they will, the Yankees and Nationals will add to that list because Max Scherzer will start for the NL, so they'll have Scherzer and Harper. And then the AL would have Aaron Judge and Luis Severino, so the Yankees would be that 5th team. But those starting pitchers haven't been announced yet.
Well, isn't Scherzer pitching the day before, so isn't he ineligible?
I'm not sure. I
thought I saw something like that.
I haven't kept up with it too much as far as like where they're going and all that. He won't pitch the day before because the day before the All-Star break is the Home Run Derby.
Okay,
so
maybe it was Friday. I'm not sure.
So he might maybe he pitches Saturday or Sunday or the weekend, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
So move us into our 4th topic. There are only 2 confirmed players that will participate in next Monday's Home Run Derby. Those 2 confirmed players are Nationals' Bryce Harper and Dodgers Rookie of the Year candidate Max Muncy. So here's your statement. The MLB needs to do a better job at getting players to commit to the Derby more than a week ahead of time.
I would say hold up for that.
Okay.
Just for the fact that I think they need to do a better job of getting people to participate anyway.
Right.
I mean, who wants to be in the home run derby? It's kind of like the dunk contest or the NBA. Nobody wants to do it. I mean, the only reason Bryce Harper's doing it is because it's in his hometown.
Right.
If it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be doing it. And Bryce Harper shouldn't be an all-star anyway, so.
Yeah, we agree there. But, yeah, I agree that they need to get more people to do it because, you're going to have Bryce Harper and Max Muncy is a name that's really, soared through the baseball circles, but he's not a guy that's known by the casual fan. And what, MLB, their All-Star game is the most watched All-Star game of any major sport, but you could get more people involved with the Home Run Derby if, Judge and Stanton were in it, Trout was in it, Harper was in it, J.D. Martinez,
Mookie, all these guys,
Paul Goldschmidt, get that kind of thing, and it would be really cool. And I don't think they do this, but to have just a bracket, AL versus NL, you have 4 guys from each, they duke it out and they all fight, and then you have AL versus NL in the finals, and that's who you get. But I think they need to do a better job of getting people, number one, to participate, and they need to do a better job of getting the list out earlier so that they can market it. Because what's going to happen is they're going to get their list together by Thursday, and then they're going to have 4 days to market the Home Run Derby. And it's not really...
Everyone's already bought their tickets by then.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not going to buy them by then.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they should try to have at least the Home Run Derby list put together 2 weeks in advance. 2 weeks in advance, who's hitting home runs.
Yeah.
It's not 2 weeks ago the guys who were hitting home runs today weren't hitting home runs. So, I think they need to do a better job. And this last one triggered me, dude. When I had to type this out, this one triggered me. Blake Snell, he got snubbed, dude. He got snubbed from the All-Star game. He leads the AL in ERA at 2.09. He's tied for second in wins with 12. And Justin Verlander actually tweeted about this on Twitter. And he said, player votes are still submitted via paper ballot and have to be mailed in weeks before the fan vote is finalized online. So here's your statement. This is an acceptable way to do player ballots.
Hold up. Easily hold up. You're telling me in the age where everyone has a smartphone or they have ease of access to electronics, they have to mail it in? Do you really think players want to go out and mail things in? I'm not famous. I don't even want to walk to my mailbox.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm definitely going to say hold up on this one because, look, fan votes finalized last Friday. You're going to tell me players couldn't pick up an iPad after the game and just voted? Or when they got to the ballpark, you just have one MLB rep at every stadium to hit all 30 teams? One rep, every stadium that handles 2 teams a night, one before the game, one after the game. Hey, can you vote really quick on, player votes? Boom, done. It's all done Friday or Thursday, whenever you want to do it. And then player votes done. You're going to have them, when Blake Snell, or when they were voting on player votes, Blake Snell had 9 wins. He had 3 starts, at least 3 starts in the time that they voted to now. At least 3. So that's 2 weeks, at least. That's ridiculous. And I guarantee... And
you got to imagine how many of those get lost in the mail, too.
Well,
that happens.
Not only that, but, I guarantee at least half of the players don't even bother voting because they don't 100%. Want to send a paper ballot. So they don't even bother voting. So what's the point?
I can guarantee you that.
Literally just email them all a link or something. Email the team a link to get out. Just vote really quick. Make it super simple.
It's crazy, the way they do things sometimes.
It's baseball being baseball. Baseball's super stuck in its way, and it's always touted as that sport that's stuck in its way and stuck in tradition, and that's literally another example right there. So let's go. We're talking about the All-Stars, so we're going to hop right into second half of the show. Talk about just the All-Star weekend. We're going to draft a dream MLB All-Star team. So we're just going to go one position at a time. Any player in the MLB that you really like. They don't have to be the greatest at their position. Just a guy that you think is really productive and you really like and you would want on your team if you were drafting an ultimate All-Star team. So let's start with starting pitchers. Why don't you tell me who you picked at number 1 starting pitcher, why you like them, and we'll go from there.
Well, I picked a surprise one. I picked Jacob DeGrom. I'm 90% sure he's leading in ERA right now. Pretty sure he's up there in wins.
I will say I know he's not up there in wins because
Is he not?
the Mets.
I might be wrong on that.
The Mets cannot get to him run support.
Well, yeah, when you have to battle on a team like the Mets. But I like his stuff. I like his variety of pitches. I just think he could be a really good player, and he could be a Cy Young candidate if he wasn't on such a crap team.
Well, see, that's what's great about analytics over the years is like advanced stats have come in. He could potentially still be a Cy Young candidate even if he doesn't win games, as long as his ERA is down, his strikeouts are up, his advanced analytics numbers are up. The problem with the Mets is they just haven't given him run support. Like you said,
I'd agree with you on that, but the fact that Rick Porcello won Cy Young solely because he won 20-plus games when he had like a maybe mid ERA, they still look at wins as a very big category, apparently, if he's winning.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we'll see that transition out. It'll be a while, but as like the older writers kind of retire and die off, and you get the newer writers coming in who care more about like the advanced stats, then you'll see like some of that taper off. But as the old school guys are still in the world and voting, I think I agree with you. Wins will be a thing, but I could see him sneaking into like a top 5, maybe vote. Like a top
I think he
5
deserves it.
vote. Yeah,
he's a really good player.
I agree. I think he is a really good player. My starting pitcher, I went with hometown dude Blake Snell. The kid's filthy. Like, he's young. He throws a nasty curveball. And I think the thing that I like about him the most is he plays on a team that has an ace, quote unquote. This is my quote unquote. Has an ace already in Chris Archer. And to me, Chris Archer's not the ace anymore. Like, Blake Snell's the ace. So Blake chose, he could have just chose to kind of live in Chris's shadow. He didn't. He stepped up. He stepped out of the shadow. He's easily the number 1 starter on our team. He's not afraid to face anybody. He's faced the Rays or the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Astros more than any pitcher in the league. Still holds a 2.09 ERA. So the fact that he can do that and he's doing it for a team like the Rays, who, by the way, are 2 games over 500 now. Don't hate.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's a big part of that.
He is. He's a huge part of that because I think he's given up 1 earned run or less in his last 6 starts. I believe that stat is accurate. So that's why I'm going to go with Blake Snell. So we'll jump into relievers. For my reliever, I feel like I know who you're going to pick for yours, but for mine, I'm going to pick Edwin Diaz from the Mariners.
Okay.
Closer from the Mariners. The dude throws hard. He throws like 98, 99. He's just got like a winner mentality. Like I feel like when people like go up against him, like it's kind of like Aroldis Chapman from like 3 years ago. Like they were scared. Like when
he's throwing heat.
Yeah, like they're scared to face this guy. He doesn't throw as hard as Chapman did, or does still currently. But like he's just got that mentality. Like when he comes in, like it's over. You're not scoring a run. You're not winning the game. So maybe like kind of Mariano Rivera-esque, but definitely not that legend status. Not yet, anyway. Not yet.
Well, I know where I'm going with this one. I got Craig Kimbrell.
I saw that.
My man.
I saw that one coming.
He might not have the physical dominance that he used to, but he gets it done. That's all that matters. I mean, he's got a lot of saves for the best team in baseball right now.
Whoa. Did you just say that the Red Sox are the best team in baseball?
Record-wise, they are.
No, they have a better record than the Astros?
They sure do.
MLB.com officially power rankings have the Astros at number 1. So, I don't know.
Well, that's MLB.com.
Just
know how they go.
Just the website of the entire sport.
Astros are 61-32. The Red Sox are 63-29.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Red Sox best record then. So give me your catcher. Who you got?
For catcher, I have JT Realmuto.
Wow. I also have JT Realmuto.
There we go.
I think JT really gets lost in the Gary Sanchez, Buster Posey, Wilson Contreras talk.
Well, you see, I had Buster just because it's Buster Posey. But then I started looking at it, and I'm like, Buster's not doing too good this year. Well, he's doing good, but not JT Realmuto good.
Yeah, Buster's the best hitter on his team, and I believe he's still hitting over 300, but JT Realmuto hitting like 20 points better and has like double his homers. And this isn't a new thing for JT. JT's done this like consistently throughout, his career. The problem was that he was on a team with Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich, and D. Gordon, and Marcell Ozuna. And so everybody's like, wow, look at these 4 awesome guys. And then you got this catcher who's hitting like 290 with like 15 homers, which if you haven't seen...
Which for a catcher is really good.
Yeah, if you haven't seen catcher's numbers, that's crazy.
I think... Well, what is the Gary Sanchez hitting, like 190 right now?
Yep, but he's got homers. Yeah. But he's hitting bombs. And that's basically...
He's got the Bryce Harper syndrome.
Yeah, that's basically what the catcher position is. You get somebody who can hit homers and play defense, and you don't worry about their average. Is kind of where catcher is. But JT Realmuto hits for average and hits for power, and he's done it consistently.
And he's probably the best player on that team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Best player on the team. Yep. So first base, I really wanted to pick a homer pick here because I really like CJ Cron for the Rays. I just really love his personality and everything, but I'm on Freddie Freeman. Like, Freddie Freeman is just probably the best first baseman in the league, hands down. He's also a really good guy. Homegrown in Atlanta, never been anywhere else, loves playing for that organization. Never in any kind of issues with anybody. Just an all-around great guy.
I also have Freddie Freeman.
All right, that was easy.
I think at the top, there's not a lot of debate, I don't think. No. At some of these positions.
Right.
I think some you got the top, and there's guys that are like under the top, but I think the top's mostly secure.
Right. Now I really like Paul Goldschmidt at first base as well. If I had to pick like a number 2, it'd be Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
I love Goldschmidt too. And he's really turned his play around over the last couple weeks from where he was at the start of the season.
Yes, because he was doing very bad at the beginning. Yeah, he's been doing very well lately.
Yeah, he has. So who do you got at second base?
I have Jose Altuve.
No surprise there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these, they're no-brainers. I mean, you can't pick against these guys that are hitting great averages, hitting home runs. I mean, he's just up there.
I'm going to pick a guy who I guarantee nobody would pick ever if you were going to ask them to do this. But I'm going to pick him because he's a switch hitter. He plays on a team that you would not expect to contend, but somehow manages to every single year. And he used to be a Boston Red Sox. Jed Lowrie, second baseman for the Astros.
Jed Lowrie.
Look, man.
Jed
Lowrie hits upper 200s, lower 300s every year. He gives you 20 homers a season. He's solid defensively. And he switch hits. Like, it's so rare that people switch hit. And, Jed Lowrie gets slept on every single year. Every year, because he plays on the A's now. And he didn't really take off until he got to the A's. Because he didn't play that well in Boston. But, the A's team, and I wanted to bring this up here because we talked about the A's a couple weeks ago on the show, and they were playing horribly. Since June 15th, they're 16-4. And they're like 12 games over 500 now. And Jed Lowrie, Chris Davis, and I can't remember the third baseman's name. Matt Olson.
Yeah,
Matt Olson.
Yeah.
Matt Olson.
There you go.
Those 3 guys have been huge for them. So we'll hop into third base. And I made a list of guys I wanted on this team. And I've got another Ray here, but I couldn't pick him. I had to pick Jose Ramirez from the Indians. The dude hits for pop, he hits homers, he hits for contact, he's very, honestly, he reminds me of a young prime Josh Donaldson, the way that he can just rake the ball around the yard.
Yeah, Donaldson was good. All right, my third base. This shouldn't be much of a surprise. I have Nolan Arenado.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Chris Bryant, but I'm glad to hear Nolan Arenado.
No, not this year. Maybe last year.
Yeah,
but Arenado has been. I don't believe the Rockies are doing that well either.
I think they're floating around 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're floating right around 500. They were looking okay for a while. They led that division for like 2 days until the Diamondbacks took it back. And then all of a sudden, Kershaw comes off the DL, Justin Turner comes off the DL, and then here come the Dodgers. So,
Yeah.
I
think that's what everybody expected from them, too.
Yeah, so the Rockies have kind of fell off a little bit. Shortstop. Now, shortstop was a position that I thought was like really hard because I wanted to pick Francisco Lindor really badly, but I ended up picking Manny Machado.
Yeah, Manny's good.
Machado is just like the best. He's the best shortstop in the league. And I think it's crazy that he can also play third base. So if he gets traded to a contender, even though he had an interview where he said, I'm a shortstop, I want to play shortstop. If he got traded to a team that wanted him to play third base, he'd do it. But he can field at an elite level. He's got an elite arm. He hits the ball for power contact. He can steal bases if he needs to. Like, he's literally just an all-around player. And he's going to get more money this offseason than Bryce Harper.
I picked John Segura of the Mariners.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's hitting 330. He's got I'm not sure how many home runs he has, but
he's
been doing really good.
He's not a huge home run guy. He's like their leadoff contact steal bases guy.
Yeah, I think he still hit a decent amount for hitting that though.
Right, I believe he's in double digits.
I believe so.
I believe he's in double digits.
No, only 7.
Okay.
But still, hitting 330, leading off, that's not bad at all.
No, he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's got 14 stolen bases this year. I have Segura on my list if I was gonna pick one. Left field's where it gets. The outfield is where it just got interesting overall for me.
Well, maybe for one spot.
For one spot, left field, I have JD Martinez. I picked JD. The guy
JD in left field.
Yeah, JD Martinez. He started games for the Red Sox in left field this year.
I guess if you want to go that way, yeah.
Yeah, JD hits bombs. He hits for average. The dude's an animal.
I had him at DH, but I guess, yeah.
So who you got in left field?
I have Eddie Rosario.
I like Eddie. I think it's criminal that Eddie didn't make the All-Star team.
I would agree. That's why I wanted to make sure he was on this list. And that's why I put JD at DH, just for that reason.
I moved JD to left field to put somebody else at DH, but we'll get there. Center field, so for every single position, I put 5 names down and decided, okay, I'm going to pick out of these 5 names. Center field, I put 1 name down, and that name's Mike Trout, and I didn't move at all.
Yeah, you can't put any other name except for Mike Trout. He's literally the best player. Well, in my opinion, he's the second best player right now, but he's one of the best.
Mike Trout is the best player in baseball. There's a chance that if he continues on this career path, he could potentially be the best player to ever play the game.
I agree. But this year, I think he's number 2.
Oh well, you can
for my guy who plays for right field.
You can think he's number 2. But everybody else thinks he's number 1. And if you pick anybody in center field and their name is not Mike Trout,
you're an idiot.
You're wrong. Like, you just don't.
Sorry.
Like, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's just what it is.
This isn't an opinion. Like, this position is not an opinion. This position is a fact. So, right field, I know you're picking Mookie Betts.
Sure am, my dude.
I am also picking Mookie Betts in right field.
I mean, right now, I don't think you can argue against Mookie in right field.
Nope, sure can.
He's hitting the leadoff, and he's got, 23 home runs?
Yep.
It's insane. And he's missed, I want to say at least 3 weeks. And he's still top 5, and he leads the league in average, too. So
yeah, Mookie is having an incredible season. I will say he's having a better season than Trout, but he is not a better player than Trout. So I will
agree to disagree.
I will concede that. So for DH, you said you have JD. I kind of took DH as just throw an extra player in there. So I threw Jose Altuve on there as my DH because he's literally just the best hitter, the best pure get a base hit hitter in baseball. I think he's led the league in hits every year for the past 3 or 4 years. If I'm not remembering incorrectly, hopefully I'm not, because I'm just throwing stats out there. But but yeah, that's why I go with Jose. So the second topic that I put in for the All-Star game, we actually talked about with our hold up segment a little bit. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Isaiah, what do you think that Major League Baseball could do to incentivize players to participate in the home run derby?
No, honestly, I don't think there's a lot they can do. I mean, you look at it at things like, let's compare it to another sport. Let's say the NBA with the dunk contest. You haven't had good players do the dunk contest in the past 15, 20 years. They just don't care about it anymore. I think the only way you could possibly do it is if you make it like AL versus NL and try to bring back some competition maybe. But I just don't see it ever happening.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to incentivize it. I would like to see maybe they do like a gold ball like charity event type donation. I think I would almost like to see them like reach out to the players and say, hey, how can we get you to participate? Like, I think the major reason that players don't participate is because it ruins their swing trying to hit home runs. That's like the major argument against it. So like, what could we do? What if we extend the All-Star break 3 extra days for you to kind of take extra practice? Who cares if you extend the season 3 days? Like what?
Yeah, it's already
literally
164 games or whatever.
Yeah, like literally, who cares? But maybe like throw in like MLB will donate $100,000 to the winners charity, and maybe that'll get guys more involved. That might would be something that LeBron would get into in the NBA. Like, hey, LeBron, you win the NBA dunk contest, man, $100,000 we'll donate to whatever charity you want to do, whatever charity you want.
Lord knows I want to see LeBron in the dunk contest. I want it.
So yeah, outside of like charity event, yeah, I don't know what the MLB could do. I wish I had an answer for this, because watching the home run derby. I think yesterday was the 15th anniversary of McGuire Bonds home run and derby duel, and like that's exciting. Like that's exciting. But like I would have last year, I would have loved to see Aaron Judge versus Giancarlo Stanton in the finals. Like that would have been awesome. It would have been even awesome, like more awesome this year since they're on the same team.
Like, it would. You have friendly competition.
Yeah, 2 teammates duking it out in the home run derby, but neither of them are going to participate. Trout's not going to participate. They've already talked about it. So I don't know who they're going to get to participate at this point. They'll find somebody. Somebody will do it. But I just don't. I don't know what they can do to get players in.
I think the only thing you really could do is maybe when a CBA comes up, you write it, and if you're told to do it, you have to do it. I think that's probably your best bet to go about doing that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. If you're. We'll take 20 guys, the top 20 guys in home runs, and if we ask you to do it, you have to do. I don't think that'll get worked out in a CBA though. I don't think the players would go for that.
Who knows? Probably not though.
Maybe if they included an extra bonus, because I'm pretty sure guys get bonuses for being on the All-Star team. Maybe if they got even more money for being in the home run derby. But what are you gonna give? What are you gonna give them? Like $125,000 is a fuck ton of money. But like,
that's chump change to them.
Yeah, that's chump change to them.
That's like a $1 bill.
Yeah, they don't care about $125,000. All you're gonna get for $125,000 is Max Muncy, who hasn't really hit. Who's not gonna hit his free agent payday for 6 more years. So
yeah, that's why you usually get the young guys. Like had Judge last year. Yeah, I mean now that he's made a name for himself, he's not gonna go risk anything.
No.
There's no reason for him to.
Especially after he struggled the second half of the season last year after he competed in the home run derby. You could chop it up to it if you want to. There's no definitive proof that that's it. But, yeah. I mean, it probably is because you have to change your swing so much for the home run derby.
And then there's Stan, who's just...
Yeah. So we've got the lineups. The rosters for the All-Star game aren't final yet.
They're essentially mostly fleshed out.
Yeah, they are. Like basically everybody who's been announced is going to be quote unquote an All-Star. But like Trevor Bauer pitches on Sunday for the Indians, so he won't be available to pitch Tuesday. For the All-Star game, so he might have to be replaced. But he'll still technically be an All-Star this year, but he'll have to be replaced on the team by somebody. And that somebody is presumably Blake Snell. But so the teams are basically figured out. So who do you think wins, AL or NL?
Gotta go with NL. I mean AL. Sorry.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna pick AL because you're a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all full All-Stars. I mean, it could go either way. It just depends who hits and who doesn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna say AL as well, just because I feel like the NL team kind of got like the way that the NL team got picked. They didn't get their best players. Like you have Harper starting in right field, who's hitting 215. You has Ozzy Albies playing second base, and don't get me wrong, Ozzy Albies is a great player. Not going to win Rookie of the Year because Max Muncy's probably going to take it from him. But Albies is only hitting like 270 with some pop. Scooter Gennett is hitting like 40 points better and has the same amount or close to the same amount of home runs. So getting Gennett in there would have been like a boost for their lineup. I just feel like the fans didn't pick necessarily all of the best players in the NL that they could have compared to the AL.
Well, I think when it comes to the player vote, everyone just votes for their hometown team. It all depends on how many people you get to vote. I mean, most people just go, "Oh, let me get my guys in the All-Star game."
Yeah, I don't do that. Like when I go down a ballot, like I literally say, "Okay, who do I think is having the best season out of all these guys?" and pick. The only Ray that I voted for was Wilson Ramos because he's literally having the best season of any AL catcher. Like it's just not.
A lot of people don't think that way though.
Yeah, and it's not arguable. Like Gary Sanchez led Ramos until like 2 weeks ago, even though he was hitting like a $190.
Yeah, which is horrendous.
Yeah. Luckily, Ramos edged him out though. So yeah, I say AL as well. I also feel like AL pitching depth is deeper. I feel like there's teams in the NL that have better starting pitching as like per team than the AL, but I think overall the AL has better pitching across the board.
Yeah, well, when it comes to baseball, I'd say the two conferences are pretty balanced, unlike the NBA where it's all your good teams are all West, and then, there's pretty good balance in the MLB.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that'll throw it off, and it throws it off every year, but I also don't think it'll be... I think it's an advantage to the AL, but I don't know how much of an advantage is the fact that the DH gets introduced in the All-Star game because they don't want the pitchers hitting in meaningless games.
Yeah.
So AL teams play with a DH all year. The AL managers play with a DH all year, whereas the NL managers only do it, sporadically throughout the season. So I don't know how much of an advantage that gives the AL, but I feel like it does at least give them a slight advantage in that respect. Especially when
your DH is close to winning a Triple Crown this year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like, if you're the NL, who do you play at DH, Like, your outfield starters this year are Matt Kemp, Nick Markakis, and Bryce Harper. Like, do you maybe put Markakis or Kemp on at DH, slide somebody else in to play center, but who are you going to slide in? I don't know if Lorenzo Cain made the team. He's having a good season, but I don't know if he did well enough to make the team. I don't have the roster put up in front of me, so...
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but...
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll be watching, and I'll definitely watch the Home Run Derby. But, man, I just wish there were more players, like better players in the Home Run Derby. I wish Bryce Harper wasn't on the All-Star team.
God, don't even. I just can't with Bryce Harper. I was actually looking to go get tickets because it's about 40 miles away. Nosebleeds, $2,000.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
I can't believe it's that expensive.
Yeah, it's... Because me and a couple friends were going to go, and we're like, wow, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's more than... I think that's more than like a World Series ticket. At least for nosebleeds.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. So, Isaiah, why don't you... Show's coming to a close. Do you have anything else you want to say about the All-Star game before we move on? We go into what's on your mind topic?
Well, I think my what's on my mind topic will reel into that, so let's just go to that.
All right, cool. Go ahead. What's on your mind, buddy?
I hate how every team in the MLB has to have someone on the roster. You're telling me J.A. Happ deserves to be an All-Star? J.A. Happ. I just can't. He's hit, what is he, like a 4.3 ERA? And then you get guys like Blake Snell who are left off. It's just ridiculous, the fact that you have to have that. If you want to make the All-Star team, be a better player.
Ooh. All right, we can talk about this because I disagree with you.
Do you?
I do. I think every team should have a representative, and that's why the MLB All-Star Game is the most watched All-Star game of any sport.
From a viewership standpoint, I could see that.
Yeah, because I do believe every team should have a representative. I like that. I don't believe J.A. Happ should have been the representative from, is it the Blue Jays?
Yes, but the Blue Jays also don't have anyone else to make it. I'm pretty sure the Blue Jays are not I don't think they're playing with talent.
I think Yangervis Solarte is having a good enough season that you can make an argument for him over somebody. If I'm not mistaken, he's hitting like 270, 280, 17 to 18 home run range. So I think I really kind of wish that I gotta look this up now, but I really kind of wish that the MLB would step in and realize, where they're at and what they're doing. Oh, Solarte's dropped. He's hitting 265. So he does have 16 homers. So if he's 250. 265 is his career average. Ooh. But if Solarte's hitting 250 with 16 homers and Harper can make the team hitting 210 with 20 homers, put Solarte on the team. But
the only reason Bryce made it is because they're the hometown team this year. That's the only reason he made it.
Yeah, they got.
If it wasn't in DC, he wouldn't have been in there.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah, they got all the votes. J.A. Happ's got a 4.44 ERA.
Yeah, that's abominable. That he should not be anywhere near the All-Star game.
Yeah, I will agree with that, but I disagree that every team shouldn't have an All-Star. I think every team should have an All-Star. I would be more inclined. Last year it wasn't an issue because the Jags played so well and they had multiple people go to the Pro Bowl. Multiple people go to the Skills Challenge, make the Pro Bowl, make the All-Pro team. The year before that, I didn't care at all because no Jags made it. Period at all.
I don't believe any Colts made it last year, and I don't believe I watched it last year either.
So that's my thing. Even if Blake Snell doesn't make the All-Star team, I'll still watch the All-Star game for, obviously because of me. I actually like baseball, so I'll watch it for Trout and the rest of those guys. But if I was just a casual fan, I would probably still watch it just to watch Ramos because he's getting to start. After last year, he missed he missed the All-Star season 2 years ago with the Nationals because of injury, which was really unfortunate because he would have been a starter for the All-Star team then. And then he really didn't play last year with the Rays because he was still dealing with that injury. So now to see him finally make it, and he's going to be a starter, and it's going to be the only time we're going to see an All-Star this season because he's going to get traded before the trade deadline, probably back to the Nationals because they need a catcher. So I would watch it for Ramos if I was just like a casual fan.
Well, I think the format of the All-Star game for baseball works a lot better because, if you watch the Pro Bowl for chance, they don't play hard. You see guys two-hand touching people and all that crap. It's ridiculous. With baseball, they actually try.
Yeah, and I think the reason that baseball is like that is because they only play 2 or 3 innings at most, and then they're out. Whereas basketball, I think they only allow 10 people on the All-Star team.
Yeah, when there's no defense played whatsoever, so you get scores of 180 to 150 or something ridiculous.
Well, and then there's only 10 people, so most likely people are playing at least half the game.
Yep.
And I think Pro Bowl is the same way. They only keep a 53-man roster on each team, so some people are probably going to end up playing the entire game. Why risk injury, there? Whereas at least baseball, you got Max Scherzer. He's going to go out. He's going to throw 2 innings. He's going to be done. He's not going to pitch anymore. He's going to throw 40 pitches max, and then he's going to be done, finished. So I feel like baseball has the best All-Star game, and I feel like it's because they have representatives from every team, and it gives everybody a chance to play, even though I'm really glad that doesn't leak into regular season.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to be it for show today. Isaiah, thank you for coming on, filling in for Mr. Emmons while he's enjoying his beautiful vacation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm sure we'll have you back again in the future. There will not be a show next Tuesday night. For everybody out there watching and listening, there will not be a show next Tuesday. John and myself will both be out of town. So Matthew can't do the show by himself. So there will be no show next week. So we'll be back 2 weeks from now, Tuesday, 8:30, for week 19 of the show. We're going to start breaking down who we think are going to win divisions in the NFL. So we're going to start with the AFC West and the AFC North in the first show. And then we're going to move through the rest of the AFC and then on to the NFC after that. So that'll be 2 weeks from now, Tuesday, 8:30 p.m., same time, same place. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Isaiah, thank you again for being here. Everybody, have a good night.